Welcome to Fort Dram and Goal. It's been a minute.
That's what she said.
Ah, there we go. Good start. So, grab a glass, put the game on mute, and take a listen.
Let's do this.
Welcome to Fort Dram and Goal. Thank you for joining us. If you have joined us, it's been a while, so we've got a lot to catch you up with. We're behind the mic again. We're going to do what we do best. We're going to talk sports, a little NBA playoffs, a little bit of Tim, my walk on water, Tebow, and a lot of whiskey. Dick, say
and
hello.
the beer. Don't forget the beer.
Oh, that's right. We're talking a little beer. I'm excited. I'm stoked.
Stoked.
Remind the two people that may be listening to us once again, what are our socials?
All right. Thanks for that, Kurt. So, as always, Drammers, like Kurt said, it's been a minute. And yes, we have already established that's what she said. On the socials, we still have a website. That's fourthdramandgoal.com. And then we're Instagram and Twitter. We're much heavier on Instagram, trying to get better on the Twitter. 4THDRAM, fourth dram, all one word. And if you're kicking it old school with us on Facebook, still stalking the people you went to high school to see how much better you are than them, you can always find us at Fourth Dram and Goal there as well.
All right. Well, thank you for that.
Well, I'm not done.
Oh, fuck. Okay.
All right. And of course, as usual, you can always find us on the podcast streaming services, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Audible, CastBox, Spotify. And we're always looking for new followers and feedback. So if you want to shoot us an email, we got fourthdramandgoal@gmail.com. That's 4THDRAM and goal, all one word, @gmail.com. And without further ado, Kurt, I think we got a few things to handle tonight, so I don't want to drag it too far. But I think it is important that we talk about what we're drinking.
All right. But you know what I got to do first before we get into that? I've got a warm-up shot.
What's yours?
So I've literally finished all my dailies. I've got to go to the store and get some more. I actually took a bottle of Early Times, left it at a family member's, finished my nice little decanter of Buffalo Trace. So what I did here, oh, she looks lovely, as you show me that bottle of Early Times. What I've got here is I had a little bit left over from the baby blue that we did a long time ago. And I also got a little bit of that Jim Beam like black that we did during that tasting months ago. And what I've done is I've put them together.
Oh, you didn't do it.
So
is that called a suicide? Is that what they still call it? Or is that politically incorrect?
I call it a spiked testicle hair. Cheers.
Salud. Cheers.
So you can imagine how bad that was, right?
I don't want to imagine how bad it was. It might ruin my night.
Multiply it by 2 because that was bad. That was horrible. I literally saw somebody pour a bottle of baby blue on one of the Facebook threads the other day.
Drain port?
Yes, and I actually can't argue with them. Most bottles, I'd say, come on, don't be a little bitch. Finish it, drink it, do something with it. Can't even be mad at them there.
So what you told me is like that basically tasted like the sweat off of a gorilla's testicle.
I'll take your word for it. Yeah. So let's get going. What do you want to start with, man?
Well, first, I think we need to talk about what we're actually drinking tonight.
That's a good point because I got the beautiful bottle right here. Look at that. Oh,
yeah.
Shit.
Oh, you got the canister. So actually, before we started recording this, I actually posted on our Instagram a picture of the canister I have and the sample you sent me. So for our Instagram followers, you're looking at a bottle right here of E.H. Taylor small batch bottled in bond coming in at 100 proof. And Kurt here has the last probably 2 pours in that bottle.
Got to make them worth it. As we're looking at this, we've got some good things on TV. We've got a Islanders Bruins hockey game. It's going into overtime. We'll get into the hockey way later. And then in the basketball world, we've got a fourth quarter game. There is 6 minutes left, 105-106, Trailblazers over the Nuggets. So we got some entertaining things on to keep us busy while we do this. But, dude, can I tell you a story first?
Here's a story.
So I quickly asked you just to gauge your interest. Have you ever taken niacin before?
Isn't that like heroine's brother?
No. So we've been texting each other lately. Me and Dick here are trying to do a healthier summer. Trying to keep track, trying to keep tabs on each other, make sure we're at least working out once a decade or so. So I'm trying to do a healthier cleanse. I'm really bad with the Bang energy drinks. I'm really bad with the Monsters. In fact, there would be some days there a couple of weeks ago where I would have a good old cup of coffee in the morning and then a Bang energy drink. So I'm really trying to do this workout stuff a little bit healthier. I've always been supplement heavy. I've always had to do the pre-workout, the protein. I'm trying to do without pre-workout essentially. So I go to GNC and I buy my protein, and the GNC guys or GNC girls, they're a lot like your liquor store salesmen. You really got to judge them. And, I'm not going to say how you judge somebody who works at GNC. Let's just say I think it's a little bit easier to tell if somebody at GNC knows what they're talking about because, you're
seeing how hard the solstice is coming in.
Yeah. We'll say that. So anyway, this guy looked like let's say a poor man's, I don't know, the situation. We get to talking. I'm just buying the protein, and then he's like, "Hey, man, do you want to try niacin? Essentially, it's vitamin B." And I'm like, "What's the point of it?" And as soon as he said it's to get circulation going, cleanse the liver, cleanse the kidneys, I'm like, "Sure, why not?" So, and for those of you that this has happened to, you're already like, "Oh shit, I know what happened." I come home and I take this pill, and in about 5 minutes, I have the worst. My skin looks like I have the worst sunburn I've ever had. My neck is on fire.
Is this a shit that turns your pee orange?
No, my face is tingling, and I've taken some supplements before, but this was the closest that I've ever come. Like, I was going to tell my wife, "Stop getting ready for work. You are taking me to the emergency room right now." Like, I had bloodshot red eyes. I was dying. I was dying. She was freaking out, and how bad she freaks out over things like that. Like, my wife gets a cough, there's going to be a problem. So I had to convince her to go to work. I'm going to stay by the phone, but just be on standby. Anyway, once I started doing my YouTube videos, it turns out this is absolutely normal to have your face jacked. Like, I could literally, there was a white patch on my forehead because when I would frown, the pressure in my blood was just not on my forehead. So there was this big white patch.
Pixar didn't happen.
Huh?
Or it didn't happen.
No, it happened. Turns out there's this thing called the niacin flush, and you're supposed to start off with like 50 milligrams a day, maybe 100 milligrams a day to assess it. I took a 500 milligram pill. And yeah, apparently that just shot my blood. Like, it enlarges the blood vessels and just shot my blood to my pores. And I was like, it was scary. Like, holy shit. Like,
all I can picture right now is that meme of that kid holding his breath really, really hard.
I was redder than that. And the funny thing is that I thought that it gave me like a adrenaline that I needed to work off. So I started just airboxing like crazy. And I started running in place. I was trying to work this out of my system. Little did I know this was not doing anything. Like, I just looked like an idiot in my living room. And like, I would stop and I'd run to the mirror to check myself, and I'd still be red. So I'd come back and I'd punch even harder. And like, I just had to sit there, and I would have had the same effect. It just would have worked its way out of my system out of about 30 minutes.
So you were opening a can of whoop ass on your apartment's air system.
There's a guy, he's Jesus Christ. I couldn't, like, I think I was putting myself in cardiac arrest more than what apparently this was doing. So yeah, as soon as you Google niacin, that's the first thing. May cause tingling and redness. No shit. All right. And then there's YouTube videos. There's a guy on there. He kind of tries to make it funny. He takes it and then says, "You want to see me turn into the red dragon?" And it was exactly what happened to me. So,
how did you not take pictures?
Well, because I thought I was going to the hospital, Dick.
That's why you should have taken pictures.
Like, I swear to God, I thought I was going to the hospital. I was scared out of my mind, and I'm usually the worst. My parents taught me that you don't go to the hospital. You only go to the hospital if there's a limb hanging off. Like, my dad was the guy that if I showed up with a shattered bone, he was going to try to tape it first before I showed him that I was in excruciating pain.
So is that the Hispanic or the Irish heritage?
Both. Because, yeah. Anyway, so if you ever take niacin, it's start with 50 milligrams.
Dude, look at me. What do you think would have happened to me?
Actually, the guy who did the whole Red Dragon video, he was pretty pale and he was actually blotchy. So his looked real gnarly. But like so that's how my get healthy summer started off. That's what kicked it off. I thought I was dying.
That's usually how get healthy kicks start, is you work out too hard or go too hard and you feel like you're dying afterwards. That's why it's usually once workout, every 6 months.
Yeah. I can't emphasize I was red. Like that was it. Like Hellboy. That would be a way to put it. I was Hellboy.
I would have paid pretty good money to see that. Pretty good money.
The funny thing is my wife got out the door and maybe 2 minutes later, she was already calling me, asking me if I was okay. She thought I had collapsed on the floor and had a massive stroke. It was bad. So
I have to ask, was it all over your body?
She picked up my shirt and I'm Hellboy. Like, I'm not kidding. She was freaking out. I did not look at any lower extremities.
Oh, did you not? I would have.
I was too busy looking at my eyeballs and checking my pulse and making sure that I was still breathing. Like, this was quite the...
I'm having to mute myself because I'm laughing so hard. Sorry. Oh, man. I needed that, Kurt.
You should leave them laughing unmuted so it's more natural.
I'm trying to, but I'm like, I don't want to laugh over you talking.
So that's what I got going on. So GNC guy, next time, maybe a heads up. Hey.
Oh, anyway. Hey, you think that would have been something like, when you're selling this to customers, make sure you tell them.
Shit. All right, let's just.
And it was an upsell. It was an upsell for
them. Well, dude, that was the thing. It was only like $8.99. Like, it's a vitamin.
That's how they get you, though. That's how they get you.
Well, the cool thing that apparently, if that's how you tell that it's working, that apparently it's doing its job by causing circulation, and it sure as fuck did that. So, but yeah, next time a little heads up by the little situation would have really helped me out. Anyway, let's get into it. That was just a little show that I didn't text you about. I hadn't thought about it the last couple of days, but it just was as I took my vitamin this morning, because I did keep taking it because apparently there's a lot of benefits to it. I just didn't take 500 milligrams of it. Yeah. So
I've been taking protein powder again, so that's fun. Yeah.
Cool. Good.
We're doing macros. Yeah, super fun. I did have a fun story about protein powder. Don't buy anything except chocolate, because any other version of it just tastes like the devil's butthole, dude. Like, I got the chocolate and peanut butter one. I was like, oh, that'll still taste good. And it just tasted like.
I'm going to disagree.
Shit. Really? Well,
there are some good brands out
I've
there.
had one vanilla. It's good.
I don't want to promote or not promote a supplement, because that's in no way, shape, or form am I the guy that works at GNC. But I've had like the one that I'm taking right now. Most of his flavors are pretty good.
Okay, so I just bought the one off Amazon, and I bought the big black one. When you search protein powder,
say no more.
And so the black one that was chocolate was delicious.
Get off your couch, go to one of the 6,047 supplement stores in San Antonio, find someone who knows what they're talking about, and get a good flavor. Damn it!
No, I got another one. I like. Just give me chocolate of anybody, and I'll drink that. That's fine.
All right, cool.
All right.
Let's get into the stuff we know best, because apparently working out and trying to be healthy is not working for us.
So we're 0 for 3, working out, whiskey, and sports. Okay, cool. What are we talking about tonight?
Well, let's go.
What are you drinking?
Oh, that's right. We did touch on that. Oh man, this is gonna have to be a sample that I really make good use of.
Well, I've got my. So what am I drinking? I'm drinking my Early Times, and I've got my one sample of yours. I've got my little Glencairn topper on to hold in the air, so it doesn't air out on me.
Well, you didn't tell me you're doing that, because I definitely got another bottle that I could, piggyback on this. But I've got to get through the show and give you the nose, the taste,
exactly.
and the.
Yeah.
All right. So, yes, we are drinking E.H. Taylor. This was gifted to me. This is by far one of my favorite go-to whiskeys, the small batch.
Is it a go-to, though? Is it a go-to if you can't ever find it?
But it's not. That's what I'm saying. You didn't let me finish, Dick.
I rarely do.
When you can get it. And I actually bought it early on. One of my buddies who had some pool at a liquor store, he would send me every now and then, a couple weeks, he'd say, hey, the liquor store is getting this bottle, this bottle, this bottle. Which one do you want? Because he was on one of those lists. And I said, well, give me that E.H. Taylor. Let me try that. And it's funny because you always forget it says bottled in bond down at the bottom.
Most of them. The ones we can find say that.
Yes. So, yeah, just a typical classic 100 proof, bottled in bond, E.H. Taylor, small batch. And it's definitely going to be up there when it comes to classic looks in bottle and package.
So you may be asking yourself, why are we drinking this E.H. Taylor? Why are we holding it? Well, we wanted to do like a mini what in the world of whiskey much later in the episode here, but we're going to talk about E.H. Taylor, talk about the products they offer over there at Buffalo Trace. We'll also talk about the man, Colonel E.H. Taylor, a little lore about him, a little how he came to be one of the most famous bottles and hard to find bottles out there in the whiskey world. So,
well, I got to say this. What would you pay for it? No, you want to wait till the end to do that?
Yeah, we'll do.
I'll tell you what I paid for it now. I didn't pay for it, actually. This was a cool little thing. I saw it in a liquor store, and I asked them how much was it, and I was expecting worse, but they told me $65. And the family member that was with me, cut me off, and just did the whole, I'll take it, and they gifted it to me as a birthday gift. So that was really cool. I didn't have the heart to tell them like, oh, you're overpaying by about like $15, but that's not bad. We've talked about that. 15 to 20 is the I will overpay range. Yeah,
I'll pretty much overpay on any good bottle by 20%.
Now, I have asked here in Houston, there is a little infamous store that's known for doing this. They had this for 110. So, yeah.
All right, we'll do that later, though. Let's hold off.
Okay. So let's get into it.
Let's get into it. So we got our second dram here. We're going to talk about the headlines of just what's been going on. So we've been, a little bit of sabbatical. Kurt's been taking some, nitrogen straight into his varicose veins. I don't know what's going on over there, but he's had some he's had some stuff going on in his personal life. I've had some stuff going on in my personal life. So we took a few weeks off. Thought it was good to kind of reset, rest, relax, drink some more whiskey. And honestly, the sports world was just kind of dead before the playoffs kicked off.
Yeah, and I think we emphasize that like once football season ended, like we can shoot the shit about basketball and baseball a lot, as you can see. Now, how well is it? That's up to you to decide. But football's our thing. So we wanted to keep the show going during the off season, but it's just going to be every now and then. Whiskey we can drink whenever. So that's another thing that just keeps it going and gives us an opportunity to get together and shoot the shit and share it with whoever wants to enjoy it with us.
I don't want to share my shit with you.
Yeah, that's true. I don't want to share your shit either. So obviously the big headline in sports right now for most is the NBA playoffs.
Yep.
What do you want to start with on that?
I mean, let's just talk about like the standings, right? So the East has kind of figured out first round what's happening.
Right.
The West is still like circle jerking each other, trying to figure out exactly who's going to finish where. And my question to you, because you're much closer to this than I am, admittedly. Once the Spurs kind of fell out, I was like, fuck the playoffs. And then once LeBron started having bitch fits and throwing tantrums, I was like, nah, fuck LeBron. So I guess my question to you is, historically, the West has always been more competitive. There has been more talent out there. They've higher scoring games long ago, not so much nowadays. But the East seems to be like figuring their shit out in like 4-1 games, 4-0 sweeps, whatever it may be, while the West is going to take it to 7 games. My question to you is the West just more competitive than the East? Like, what's the situation?
Well, traditionally, yeah. I mean, you go back, our generations, of course, Spurs, Lakers, recently Golden State. So yeah, but I think the playoffs right now they're going the way they're supposed to. I see what you're saying. I know what you're saying. The series are closer. RIP my Knicks, great season. I don't want to dwell on that too much. Trae Young, you did your job. You're a beast. But I think it's more. I think what's happening in the West is the same as the East. It's going the way it should. The Jazz won their series. As exciting as the Denver-Portland series is right now, it looks like Denver's going to pull it off. The only reason something like that happens is because somebody like Damian Lillard has just turns into this other human being during the playoffs and makes it more exciting. Some will say that the Luka and the Clippers thing, I mean, that's a 4-5 matchup at the end. That's the way it's supposed to be. And the Lakers limped into the playoffs, unlike a team like the Heat or the Hawks that came roaring into the playoffs. No pun intended. And yeah, so it's happening the way it should so far. Now, if somebody can beat the Nets, and if anybody's going to do it, I think it's going to be the Bucks in this next round. We can have a really exciting and unexpected finals that we haven't had in a while. As in, no LeBron. This is if Phoenix can pull off the final game tonight, which actually, as of right now, hasn't started yet. It should be starting any second. If the Suns could pull that off, it's going to be something that we haven't seen in a while. It's no Golden State. It's no LeBron James. It's not something that, it could be like a Milwaukee versus Philadelphia series. So it's exciting that we may have something different this year. Does that make sense?
No, it does. I mean, the Milwaukee, Philadelphia, that'd be nice to see in the Eastern Conference Finals. Finals. The most interesting matchup for me would be Milwaukee and Utah.
I would love to see Utah. I would like to see Phoenix there at the end.
Ooh, yeah, talk about like throwback. Like, I don't think that's ever been a conference final or a finals game at all. Those two matchups, that matchup.
Right. It would have to be Utah, Denver, or Utah, or Phoenix against somebody from the East. There was, Toronto won 2 years ago now. That I don't want to say that had an asterisk, but you see kind of what all happened to the Warriors in that finals. Klay Thompson goes down. Durant has the Achilles tweak. So that was exciting. It was cool that they won, but this is going to be like something completely new if we can get there. If the Nets don't beat the Bucks, because if the Nets get there, the Nets win. I really don't care. I don't see anything being accomplished there. It is the way it was supposed to be. I mean, super team to the max.
I couldn't agree with more. The most interesting thing for me is that we just talked about the West historically being really good and completely shit on Dallas and left them out of that conversation, even though they're right.
I did mention it. I mean, Luke is doing what,
you did. You talked about it right now, but we talked about like San Antonio, LA, Golden State historically. Fuck Dallas.
Well, Dallas won it 1 year in 2011.
Yeah, but they were close a lot with Dirk.
And this isn't Dirk's team, so it would be new and exciting. Good point. And Denver is going to win. They're going to win 126-115. They've beat Portland. Damian Lillard just, I don't know if he's ever in a Knicks jersey, that would be something to see. But yeah. So what do you think about all this fan stuff that's been going on? All this bad stuff that's happening, the spitting, the throwing of the water bottles,
the running out on the court and getting tackled.
That I don't say, because it's not a malicious act where he's going to try to, go at somebody.
You don't know though.
Just going for attention.
Nah, nobody knows. You don't know. You're making an assumption.
Okay.
Let's just say fans just being wild and out.
Yes, but it's okay. Back to the other stuff I was talking about.
I don't know, man. I think it's a lot of like systematic of our culture right now. Like for some reason, we all just think that we can just go like, fuckboy summer and just do whatever the fuck we want out there, acting a fool, saying whatever the hell we want without a lot of consideration for the people that we're impacting. Right. And I think that's just like a cultural, societal thing that we'll have to like get past and get through. And like, really, it's just becoming more mature as a people. But it has to be part of the fact that like everybody's been cooped up in the fucking house for the last year and a half. And we're finally getting out there and people just like don't know how to act right. And that's what I boil it down to. You can layer, you can layer in whatever you want, but I think fundamentally people just don't know how to act right now.
Well, I think that's BS. I mean, I was cooped up. I went to a game. Granted, my seats were nowhere near as, these guys, but I don't care if Trey Young's walking by me. I'm not going to spit on him or throw a water ball at him. But then again, that goes back to just being a decent human being. And I don't know, maybe it's another thing. It's the age of cameras where maybe things like this.
Shit like this has happened in the past. I mean, let's look at like Philly fans in general. Like Philly Eagles fans are notorious historically for being poor sports. I mean, I'm not trying to shit on anybody in Philly, but I mean, it's true. And that's okay. That's y'all's culture. I mean, Oakland is not far from that, the Raiders fans.
Oakland has some fights up in those stands.
I'm gonna throw a little shade at you, but you know the story of my wife getting Coke poured on top of her while you were with her at a Tech game. So
yeah, but Texas Tech, I've said this on this show. I love them to death, but they do have some of the worst fans in the country, and it's an embarrassment at times. Yes,
exactly. And I think that was my point. It's not so much like these people didn't exist before, but like when you put those people and you lock them up where they can't do shit and get wild and get crazy, and then you unleash them upon the world. It's like bottled up or pent up energy. Like shit just happens. Everybody just it's just sitting there, and people don't know how to act right, man.
Fair enough. I still don't think that's an excuse, but I mean,
I think it is. I'm not excusing it. Let's be very clear. I'm just trying to rationalize the irrational.
Yeah. And there's things about that bottle toss that people were talking about, like that Kyrie stomped on the mascot in the middle, and then the fact that it was kind of like a water bottle that had like a quarter of water in it. Still not excusing it. Still shouldn't have done it. But Kyrie, come on, man. We all know you didn't have a good time in Boston, and we know a lot of that was self-inflicted. Just win the game and get off the court. I mean, would you say that that's fair to say?
Yeah, no, I think so. At the same time, like Kyrie's not run our test. Like nobody's scared of Kyrie.
I'm scared.
Or Meta World Peace.
I'd be scared of him on the court a little bit. I mean, the dude's been balling out. I will give him that when he has played.
But you're not afraid that if I throw this bottle at Kyrie, he's going to come up in the stands and whip my ass. Nope. Meta World Peace, you were.
Well, yeah, I'm scared of Meta World Peace if I turn the corner at a restaurant and accidentally. I mean, Jesus.
Same with Rodman. You don't want to do that shit to Rodman. Like these were dudes that played different. They were just different animals.
You're going to the top of the mountain right now. Like,
I'm just saying, nobody's afraid of Kyrie. You see him in the streets.
All right, what else we got going on? We got
the Olympics, man.
Are they happening? I heard something like 100 or something volunteers dropped out today.
So the Olympic president came out today and said 50 days to go until we kick off. We're 100% doing this. That whole situation with the Japanese public, I think, is completely founded. They have every right to be pissed. At the same time, I got to say the Olympic Committee is doing a really good job of saying we're being pragmatic about this. There's no foreign fans. We're going to bring people in. We're going to isolate them. They're going to be dosing people up if they haven't already got the vaccine on site and pre. They're doing everything they can, and
this I think is not anything whatsoever. This is the Summer Olympics, so you're going to get more countries, than the Winter Olympic typically.
Typically, yes, yeah, more participants.
Are they going to have to do something like India with the problems that India is having right now? Do you see them having to do like no, not going to participate this time?
I don't know.
Or do you think it's individual? Like, we're going to monitor the Indian.
Yeah, I think you have to do that 100%. That's what I've understood is it's going to be quarantine when you get there, testing all the time. They're going to try to vax everybody up that hasn't already got it. And you look like countries like India, they may be prioritizing their Olympic athletes, but they're so far underwater right now with COVID. Those athletes may not qualify, right? Some of the poorer countries that are coming in,
and that's what I was saying.
Like, yeah, some of the poorer countries coming in, like this might be the first time their athletes actually get availability to the vaccine. So,
Jeez, talk about things that you don't expect to have to discuss and deal with, but it is what it is.
But I think if you talk about the larger successes that sporting has really put together over the last 9 months, right? We talk about the NBA bubble is really like the antithesis, not the antithesis, I'm sorry, the pinnacle of what you should do. They're trying to mimic that in many ways. I mean, they're not going to be able to leave the village and all this other stuff. They're doing the best they can. But I'm excited, dude. I really like the Olympics. It's one of my favorite things to do. Sit down and watch, the sportscast with Bob Costas, and I think that's his name, right?
Yes, Mr. One-Eyed Pink Eye. Look like me on the Niacin. Yeah.
I'm not familiar with that story. Enlighten me.
It was the Olympics, I think, and there was one night where there was just a freeze frame of him all over the news because his eye looked like a severe case of pink eye. And that's about where that story ends.
Okay, someone farted right in his eye. Got it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I that's a great pastime for me. It's once every 4 years. I mean, it's been 5 years since our last one. So
favorite event?
It's got to be like the 4x1. I mean, that's favorite summer. I mean, those classic, speed.
Well, talking about favorite winter. Mine was curling.
Oh yeah, mine's for curling. Yeah, it's my winner as well. That's my favorite Olympic event. Period.
Yeah.
It's actually been a lot on the TV lately.
I love the pool. All events in the pool, especially, the last, what has it been now, 12, 14 years, Michael Phelps, 16 years going back. It's got to be the pool that I get excited for. In fact,
it's going to be a completely different pool this year.
Why is that?
None of our American
won't be there?
Well, then like most of the American team is new. I mean, even old fuckboy from down in Brazil that got held back isn't going to be there.
I'm not familiar with who you're talking about there.
Oh, the blonde guy, Brody. This is right. Yeah, and he got he got into some trouble with the Brazilian police.
Are you talking about Ryan Lochte?
Ryan Lochte, there you go. I think Brody. Who am I thinking of? Yeah, Ryan Lochte.
He does look like a Brody.
Looks like somebody from like
that's the cool thing about the Olympics. Somebody starts doing good during the first event or two, and then people just get behind them, and it's awesome. So, yeah, I hope we pull it off then. Speaking of games, what's your favorite drinking game?
For the Olympics? I don't know that I have a favorite one. Maybe it's a shot for every Olympic gold we get, or we new gold we get in the night.
No, I just meant like what was your favorite drink? Like mine's beer pong, obviously. Flip club's up there.
Beer pong historically, more recently, it is a game I actually haven't played, so I'm kind of guilty of just watching it.
Shut up! You don't need to talk about it.
Well, no, but I like it in the large version, the damn thing where you take the ring on the hook.
That's not an actual like.
It's a drinking game.
Involve the cup or the alcohol or anything.
Well, they have a version of it that is a tea, and you put a shot in the middle, and then it's a little one, and you keep throwing it at.
Oh, and then you move it down the line.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. That's what I'm saying. Like, that's my favorite drinking game, but now it's like a shot drinking game.
Nah, too slow for me. Something to pick up the pace.
I need to get hammered soon.
All right, let's talk whiskey. Let's talk the nose on this small batch. E.H. Taylor. E.H. Taylor. I like it a lot.
Ooh. Oh, God. I know you hate when I do that, so I'm going to try to lean back.
No, but that's the sign. And the fact that you're like, that's the same reaction I have with E.H. Taylor every time.
Cherries. Slight oakiness, vanilla. Like cinnamon toast. I don't know. There's just something about E.H. Taylor that's like the right blend of all the strong flavors. Nothing's like too much in your face. It's just well marriaged all the way across it. You're not supposed to drink it yet, bro.
I know, but I've got to with this bad boy. E.H. Taylor was like, and I know I've said this either about E.H. Taylor or a different bottle, but E.H. Taylor was my classy whiskey, took my classy whiskey virginity, if that makes sense. Like, this was the first bottle that I was like, I started wearing the coat jacket with the elbow smoking pads and stuff. I started smoking out of a pipe. Stuff.
You started dressing like a 1975 professor?
Sure. I dress like the guy on the bottle, which we will talk about soon.
We will give you a brief history lesson. So,
oh God,
nose wise, it's a solid A. I don't think that there's anything negative to say about this. I will tell you on the nose, because it's very definitive in my mind, this small batch versus the last single barrel I had, you had it with me. That single barrel was a little better on the nose. And if I've tasted this one, it was a little more defined on the palate. But I don't know. I've never run into an E.H. Taylor. I probably had like 5 bottles, different bottles. You've had the barrel proof. I haven't. Haven't had one that I haven't liked.
So an A.
An A.
See, E.H. Taylor's hard for me to sit here and say, like, I don't even want to just, I don't think it deserves to be, say, like, vanilla oak. E.H. Taylor gives me, like, bourbon oil in, like a bourbon perfume. Like, it's so good. Like, it is the classic, and I've said that for others, but this one is, like, the top for me when it comes to nosing it. And I know what you're talking about with the barrel proof. There's a smoother, less kind of ethanol to the nose and
also with a single barrel, but I haven't had the barrel proof.
Oh, okay. Imagine that. The barrel proof is just top of the mountain.
So this is what I would say, right? I'm thinking back to Prideful Goat, because I think these are very similar smells, but there's something that's inherently more mature about this from the standpoint of like leathery woodiness than like the Prideful Goat was just like sweet bourbon butter. Like it was just amazing to smell, and you could live in that candle. This you could do the same, and I get what you're saying, but it's a different classic bourbon smell. Does that make sense?
I don't know.
Maybe I'm off the reservations.
Prideful Goat was a sweet bourbon smell, but it had a hint of cherries. Like,
you don't get cherries with this? That's like the first thing that hits me.
No, it's hard to distinguish what E.H. Taylor has to it because it has like the perfect bourbon smell.
Yes. And I think that's what I was talking about. Like everything's married well together, but like when I take the cap off, a little
honey in vanilla. Yeah.
Yeah. I think when I let it sit, I've got like, so for our listeners, I've got a Glencairn and then make these little bamboo by Karen Craft. You can kind of like stick them on there and it kind of holds everything in there, or just really any topper on top of a Glen. But when I take that off, dude, first thing that hits me is cherries.
Like if I was trying to convince somebody to be a bourbon person,
mm-hmm.
and I'd say, just take a sniff of this. This is it. This is where you want to be. This is where you want to live.
It's the tits.
Yeah, it's the tits.
I think it depends where you're coming from, though.
Well, yeah, to each their own, but
no. But I mean, if you're talking like you're trying to convince a Scotch guy to come over, you gonna give him this?
Yeah, because if they don't like it, fuck them.
Conor McGregor in you.
Does that help you answer? I had a buddy text me the other day. We were talking. I think it was that picture I sent you of the 34 whiskeys I had off the list.
Yep,
it was a pretty decent list. It was missing quite a few.
Mm-hmm.
And he texted me back. I've had 4, and then he goes, "If I say I drink vodka, am I like part of the C team? Do you just look down at me as like a little bitch?" And like at first I was like, no, dude, it's different. Like the whiskey and the liquor world, it's all like it's hippies and Like, it's all nice people. They're real nice. So I said, it's not like looking down. It's more like specializing in a different sport. Like football is bourbon and vodka is volleyball. So he was like, fuck you, asshole. But yeah, so.
That's a good way to put it. Yeah.
Yeah. Of course, somebody from California is going to be like, well, volleyball is real popular over here amongst, yeah.
What's lacrosse?
Dude, lacrosse is the shit.
No, what liquor is it?
Oh, I know what you're asking, but I'm just saying that game was intense.
It was intense.
I have always watched the lacrosse national championship because of how bad it. Definitely the one sport I wish we had more opportunity to do down here in Texas.
Yeah, I feel like I could have actually been good at that one.
Let's see, lacrosse. Badass. No, you're too slow. Badass. Okay, so think of
they have a goalie position.
Think of something that's badass, but you always forget about it.
Tequila.
No, see, I don't. No, I know tequila's there. I just avoid it. It's kind of like I don't.
You
know.
Avoid tequila.
My taxes.
Dude, I love tequila.
Something badass that I'm trying to think of. Like, I'm at a party and somebody like offers me. I'm like, oh hell yeah, I'm not gonna pass this up.
Absinthe.
Maybe now you're on the right path. Hypnotic, possibly.
Hypnotic.
Hennessy, cognac. Now there we go. There we go.
There you go. It's Hennessy. All right.
I worked my way to it. All right. Let's talk a little bit more sports before we dive into complete beer and whiskey today. Tim Tebow, does he deserve the shit he's getting or not?
I mean, dude, he's wearing number 85 to honor his long lost teammate.
Oh no, I know what you're doing there. Stop. I instantly had to go into the memory bank there.
Oh man.
Dude, let it go. I don't even want to acknowledge that. I will say this. I am Joe fucking Schmo. I have not 1 ounce of athletic ability. I take that back. I took some niacin the other day.
And creatine, apparently.
Yeah. If the Jaguars called me today and say, dude, you want a chance? Do you think I'm going to sit there and be like, well, I don't want to take a spot from somebody else. I don't deserve it. There's just no other point. No, I'm getting my ass on a plane, and I'm going to go try out for the damn Jacksonville
And I'm going to go
Jaguars.
disappoint the shit out of Urban Meyer.
At least I did it. So you're
that's the right move.
You're going to tell me that Tim Tebow's supposed to be there like, well, I'm just Tim Tebow, one of the most talented athletes of the last 20 years.
Heisman winner.
I don't deserve this. You know what?
Pro sport athlete.
Leave it to the next guy.
Accomplished sportscaster.
Come on. Give me a break.
No, he doesn't deserve shit. So, I mean, to answer your question, no. He is, to your point, one of the most athletic individuals, maybe not the most refined athletes in any sport, but overall athleticism is just there. And, dude, did you see the picture of his arms?
Where the basket or the football was about to explode into Thanos' dust because of Tim Tebow's biceps?
Yes.
Yes, I did.
Obviously. No, he doesn't deserve shit. Anybody giving him shit. I mean, the funniest thing, in my opinion, is the 85. And I know that's the one knock. It's funny, though.
Well, the funny thing is, somebody was Urban Meyer's not proving himself if he's just hiring his buddies. Well, first off, if Tim Tebow is one of my buddies, awesome. And, what other job do you not sit there and say it's all about who you know? I mean...
Oh, no, football 100% is coaching. Anything around sports in general is.
Jobs in general.
Yeah.
Jimmy down in the mailroom. We just hired him because he's so-and-so's son. It's all about who you know. I mean, the level is different. Fucking. Yes. Whoa. There's a line. You crossed it.
I don't know if I crossed it. I think I'm pretty sure.
With the 85 and the sexual harassment, calm down. Moving on.
No, I will say, though, the one value add that I think he has, he may, be a second string, third string tight end, whatever. People are going to pay attention to him. They're like, what the hell is Tebow? He creates some confusion for the other teams, at least for the first 6 weeks. But we talked about this with mentorship, right? He's going to be able to mentor Lawrence. Maybe not, hey, here's how you throw the best ball in the world, but hey, here's what you should expect from the NFL from as a quarterback, as a rookie coming in with a lot of expectations. It's just adds to the support team that we've talked about. Urban Meyer is going to give Trevor Lawrence that very few other athletes are going to get.
Well, the only thing I'll say there is Urban Meyer has said he would not throw Trevor Lawrence into the fire.
Sure.
He would not do what happened to Alex Smith. Do you think Tim Tebow is going to be around long enough to where, Trevor Lawrence is on the field with him?
I don't see why. Yeah, I think Trevor Lawrence is going to play within the first year.
I do too. I was just picking your brain there.
I mean, in worst case scenario, you got a 4-string quarterback. You can put Tebow out there.
And that ball is exploding on impact. Coach K is retiring. Talk about one of the all-time greats. You gotta love you some. He is
the GOAT.
I won't argue with you. There was a time being a tech guy that I wanted to put up the Bobby Knight argument and fight, but that was just
I think there was a time when Bobby Knight could have been the GOAT, but I think Coach K took that from him and ran with it.
Yeah, I think he did too.
I heard that they're going to put on the back of his jacket all next season, they're going to put a rhinestone goat, just like Simone Biles had.
Moving on. Anthony Davis is down. I think he's playing hurt with that ankle. Doesn't look good. And doesn't look good for the Lakers right now because they're already down 14-7. Ooh.
Like I put on our Twitter, cry me a river. I don't want to hear LeBron bitching about anything right now.
I don't want to hear the bitching about LeBron bitching.
I wasn't bitching about him bitching. I'm saying I don't want to hear the bitching.
Yeah, stop bitching. LeBron is LeBron.
Baby back bitch.
LeBron's put his point in the world, what he's done for the game and what he's done for others. You know what? We won't get into that. So John Shire, talk about the weight of the world on his shoulders. Do you even want to be that guy, Coach K's replacement at Duke?
This goes back to the whole conversation we had about Roy Williams and taking over a program with high expectations and walking to. Is it easier to? I mean, that goes a whole nother argument. Well, it's not really a whole nother. It's a continuation.
I hate. First off, John Shire. I do remember him playing. I do remember him when they beat Butler. I couldn't have told you that he was on the bench with Coach K.
Yeah, I couldn't. He looks completely different. He put glasses on.
Oh, that's just he's Clark Kenting us.
He is Clark Kenting everybody. Put the picture of his long, lanky ass center like holding the ball or whatever at the end of that game, and then sit next to Coach K. He looks like Clark Kent, dude.
The guy's got a. I mean, he's our age. So, I mean, anyway.
Speak for yourself.
I worry about the whole like he's set as a replacement. A lot can change in a year, but I guess if anybody's going to pull that move off, Duke and Coach Krzyzewski can do that. So, we'll see. Let's keep rolling.
I think he's earned the right to name his replacement.
Oh, and that's true too. He's going to have the pull. He's going to name it. Absolutely, I agree with you there.
And let's put it this way. Let's say Coach K, let's say they make a Final Four and Elite Eight this year, right? And he rides off to the sunset, and 2-3 years later, there's another Final Four, maybe a championship with this guy. Does that not just cement Coach K's legacy of being able to identify talent to continue his coaching legacy? And it you know what I mean? Like there's a continuation, man. To be able to identify talent sometimes is just as important of skill as being able to execute.
It'll depend on the scenario. Because I think Duke has built its name up enough to where it's going to get the best freshmen in the country. And
I roll. So you're telling me if they make a Final Four and Elite Eight this year and next year they turn around and win a championship, it's not okay?
Do you know who Kevin Ollie is?
What's the tie-in? I'm missing it.
Do you know who Kevin Ollie is?
No.
You know why you don't know who Kevin Ollie is?
Because he took over someone who didn't.
Yeah, he took over for UConn, won a national championship a couple of years later. They had a dirty little squad, won, and I think he had some violations, but he's not the coach anymore. College basketball is a different world. He can put 5 badass freshmen together at Duke, and he can make a run and win things. Does that mean he's not a great talent? Not at all. Just trying to be devil's advocate here for you there for a second, but yeah.
Why? Why do you want to do that to me?
Because it's fun and you're a dick. NHL playoffs. The only thing I've got to say about the NHL playoffs is that you absolutely have to tune into Barstool Sports when they're showing the Boston and New York Islanders games.
Yes.
Holy hell.
Those Islander fans are freaking out.
Well, the Boston fans, they're just taking it or giving it at times. That's pretty cool too.
I don't know. Like the Islanders, have they been relevant in a while?
No. I had to look it up. They won like 4 Stanley Cups in a row. Well, I think it was 78 to 82.
And that's right before that guy tried to fake by them, right? Or that was in the 90s.
Yeah, that was the 90s, and that was also when they had one of the most horrific uniforms of all time. They put like a Long John Silver looking dude on the front of the jersey, and it was like their alternate jersey. And it
but a fisherman?
Yes. Have you not seen the jersey?
Oh, I mean, yes. Yeah. Just the Long John Silver dude threw me off.
Yeah, that's what it was. Long John Silver did not work out. Spent a lot of money into. I read an article, I think last summer on it. They spent a heap load of advertising and marketing money, and it just bombed. Apparently they didn't want an old
white dude.
Apparently fans didn't want to walk around with an old fisherman on their t-shirt and have that as the, figure of the team.
What year was this? Was it the 90s as well?
Had to have been late 90s.
Because you think about like 90s uniforms, like they were as loud, as cartoony as possible, and you're walking here with an old white dude.
Yes, they were trying to do. Yes, exactly what you're saying.
90s jerseys to me, every time I think about it, is Raptors jerseys. That is the epitome of 90s jerseys.
Raptors, Timberwolves, Grizzlies. Yeah, we've had that conversation before too.
We have. Yeah. All right, Aaron Rodgers sitting on the beach, chilling,
living the Rodgers life, man. The Packers will not blink. He can show up tomorrow, and there would be no repercussions, no slap on the wrist, no nothing. And then they'd be doing what everyone else would be doing.
So he showed up to 0 OTAs, right?
Well, neither is Deshaun Watson, but that's a different story. And it's so sad because, like, on the Texans Facebook, they're trying to force it. Like they've shown last 2 days, they've shown Tyrod Taylor throwing like a pass, and they're like, "Oh yeah, QB to running back," and all you get is the haha faces at the bottom because people are just like, "Nuh-uh, not hearing it."
QB to running back, did he throw it to himself or what?
Tyrod is a decent quarterback, I will say that, but it's like the whole we're just gonna sweep under the rug that our star player does not want to be here, and he's going through a little trouble. But no,
just a little bit.
Rodgers, I mean, he's Aaron Rodgers, man. If you can pull off what he's doing, but he's enjoying life, right? He was beaching it up with somebody, wasn't he? Some actor or something.
I hope it's his wife, but yeah.
He was with his wife, but he was with another predominant couple or something.
Tom Brady. I don't know.
No, some actor or something. I don't know.
I saw something about Tom Brady, and he was doing I don't know, it was a Barstool Sports or something, but it was a video this week, and he was talking about that whole 4th down, 3rd down confusion thing.
He did do a little snippet where he took a shot at himself.
He was like, I was so confused.
I guess you can do that when you win the Super Bowl.
Exactly. All is forgiven. Speaking about all being forgiven, Indy 500. Helio Castroneves.
Moving on.
Won the Indy 500. He's one of 4 drivers to be a 4-time champ. He's going to do a drive for 5. If anybody's an IndyCar fan, great, awesome. This is probably not the show for you, but I do want to acknowledge the fact that this dude pulled off an amazing feat, amazing race. And at the end of the day, he's one dude that has an opportunity to go for 5 championships. The all being forgiven, dude, this guy's 46. And Penske dropped him 2 years ago or something like that, and then a newer racing team picked him up, and they built up this racing team around him. And after he won, they talked about him being one of the biggest showmen and biggest, like faces and personalities of IndyCar racing. And what did he do? He walked over to the Penske team owner, gave him a hug, and thanked him for everything that he did for him. Like, you dropped me on my ass 2 years ago out of nowhere. I'm the face of your team, and I show up and beat you at Indy on national TV, and I'm man enough to give you a hug and say thank you. All is forgiven. when you win?
Mario Andretti.
Mario Andretti's one of the other four. Mario Andretti was there. Castroneves went over to him and like hugged him, and Mario Andretti pulled his head down and gave him a kiss on the head. Like, if you're a great racer, Mario Andretti kisses you, right?
Sylvester Stallone in that bad
arm wrestling
kind of good movie from the 90s.
The arm wrestling movie?
I'm just throwing anything that I know about indie racing at you. And I know Mario Andretti, and I know there was a Sylvester Stallone from the early 2000s where he was a indie driver. He'd drive like this. He'd go.
Yeah, and he drove around the track and he picked up the quarters on the tire.
Yep.
Yeah. That was actually pretty good. I've seen that a few times.
Yeah. Anyway, something I do know, the palette on this E8, boy, what you got?
Well, I don't want to get criticized again, so.
What did I criticize you for? Stop fucking doing that.
Try to get your attention. See, I get a lot of oakiness. A lot of oakiness with this one. And that's the difference between this and the single barrel that I had last, and every single barrel is different. That was sweeter. This is more tangy, pungent, but not in a bad way.
Tangy, I can see that.
Bitey. What about you?
Plum. I get plum on this a little bit. Sour plum, a little bit.
See, I get sweet notes. There's a little sour in the back end. It's been so long since I've had a plum, though.
Yeah. On top of that, the traditional, I do get spice, a little spice, because this one burns more than 100. I will say that. But it's not a bad burn. It's a spicy burn. Oak. And just back to the classics, man. Vanilla. But that spice and plum are very
I get
on this.
And I know it's not a rye, but I get more like rye spice.
I can see where you're going with that.
And this is why I think that this small batch, I think it's hard for like a Scotch guy to walk over and say, oh, I really enjoy the smell, the taste. And they're like, ooh, because Scotch is typically like super sweet unless you're getting to the peaty stuff, which is more leathery. I don't know, man.
See that? Obviously you did that Whiskey Advocate issue that came out that was all about Irish whiskey.
Mm-hmm.
I like what they're doing because I actually do want to dabble into Irish whiskey quite a bit more.
Fucking said that.
Nice. All right, just something to side talk. Maybe it's a future episode coming up. But before we do that,
what bottle are we gonna buy? Like Teeling, because we can pretty much buy anything.
That is. Do you tend to see the Irish whiskeys cheaper?
Not necessarily cheaper, more readily available though.
There are two that I do want to get, and I know that I'm going to drop the names here. One of them's the blue.
Teeling.
It's like blue. There's a blue print. It's a blue dot, blue something right there on the label. And I'm strictly
there's blue dot. So there's red dot, green dot, yellow dot, blue dot. Blue dot's hard to find. I'm not
getting that one.
So yellow dot. Red brett. It's yellow dot. Yeah, yellow dot's easier one to find. I think that's like $80.
All right, so scratch that one off the list. And then the other ones where the guy's like this. It's the statue of the guy like this. Jesus. It may be him. I don't know. But and see that's the thing with Irish whiskey. If I'm trying to get out of the Jameson world, if I'm trying to get out of the Teeling and the Bushmills,
Teeling's a good
I'm trying
whiskey.
to try things that I haven't had if I'm going to venture that way.
So green dot is the cheapest out of all the dots.
The Lakers are not going to
yellow
30
spot.
To 12 right now.
Sorry.
So is it blue spot?
Yellow spots. I think it's blue spot, but that one's. I want to say I found that one. It was like $150.
Okay, well, I think that one was on the magazine. Little did I know what was under my laptop. Blue spot.
What? Yeah.
And then the other one that I would absolutely want to try just because how cool the label looks, and I think I actually sent it to you last time, was Yeah, we're gonna have to come back to me because I can't. I'm not gonna find it right now on the. I do like how this whiskey advocate, you open it and it's like a Playboy, but instead of like a model, it's a bottle of Crown.
It's got a
Like a
centerfold.
bottle of Crown Royal.
Is it green
And
apple?
Crown Royal, if this was a woman, I'd be like, oh, and I just throw that page
Oh,
away.
shave your bush.
Oh, Crown Royal, gross.
Uh,
All right, so you haven't given me a grade on that palette yet. What do you think?
B.
B?
Yeah.
Solid B.
Solid B.
All right, so I don't know if this is an effect of because I've had the single barrel, and the single barrel is bourbon butter. The smell for the small batch, there is a little bit of a drop for me from nose to palate. I'll go B plus. B plus on taste. I still think that this is one of those bottles that if you're trying to get somebody to go whiskey, go bourbon, I think you'd be safe to introduce to them to this one.
So I don't disagree with that statement. I think the problem with this is if E.H. Taylor you could find on any shelf, any store, or at least at a Specs or a Total Wine, I would agree with you. But because it's so hard to find right now, and it's almost an allocated product, at least in many situations it is, I would almost venture to say that this is a refined taste that really takes like a maturing into. Like, I don't want to have someone that doesn't appreciate traditional, all the right flavors, all the right smells bourbon go buy this bottle and be like, this sucks. And I'm like, mix it with Coke. Like, it's a crime upon the bourbon world.
Well, that's any bottle, yeah.
But it's not any bottle. Like, someone says, hey, I'm going to get, early times, although we love early times, and said, I'm going to mix it with Coke. I'm like, okay, sure, do that. But not with E.H. Taylor, man. It's too nice. It's too hard to find. Like, I can find one every 6 months.
Well,
I don't know if that makes sense.
Said, sir. All right, I'm going to let you take over on the fourth dram after I give you my rating because I didn't do that yet, did I?
Yeah, you didn't.
Blue Spot is a 7-year-old and it's $80. And I don't even know if I'm saying that. The one that I was telling you about the statue, Glendalo, that is $55. Of course, they're different versions, but just to caramel, dried apple, clove, pepper, and bakery treats. Well, that sounds delightful.
What's a double
barrel? Which one?
There's a double barrel.
Of the Glendalo?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I might be having to grab that next.
Well, you tell me what you're going to grab, and I'll grab it. We'll drink it together.
The boy. Did we just become best friends?
That was a long time ago.
B plus.
You already said that.
Oh, I did. Okay, moving on.
So, moving into our fourth dram, we're going to talk about a couple of different things here. We're going to talk about what in the world of whiskey. So, we've got our Colonel E.H. Taylor tonight we're drinking, but I also want to talk about a little bit of craft beer. So, if you follow us on Instagram, you're going to see that we posted more craft beer lately. And that's really just me, Dick, being a dick. I ventured away from Kurt and I's original charter of this is going to be a whiskey and sports podcast, and that's all we're going to talk about. And basically said one night, hey, Kurt, are you cool if I post some pictures of craft beer? And he said, sure. I was like, cool, I already did. So that's where we're at now is I'm really using this app called Tavour, and this is not to promote their product at all, but it's the best way for me in my current state to really pick up non-local Texas craft beers, anywhere from Georgia to Alaska to New York, and kind of posting those on our Instagram and doing some reviews to really kind of broaden my perspective on what are some good craft beers out there, right? So you got some awesome breweries. Wild Leap comes to mind. You've got Tombstone out of Arizona. You've got Wild Leap, which is out of Georgia. You've got Hardywood. You've got, I'm just kind of walking through, you've got Gigantic, Temperance Brewing Company, and really just there's Austin Brothers Brewing Company, which is actually in Wisconsin, which threw me off when I first started drinking it. But you'll see us kind of talk a little bit about that and maybe, formalize some craft beer into some of these segments themselves. But I really have gotten super interested in the breadth and depth of the craft beer world. So, Kurt, my question to you, man, is, in the last 6 months, last year, I know you've had some at my house. Do you have any like, I'm gonna say craft beers loosely, but pretty much anything that's on Anheuser-Busch or Shinerbach or something like that, that really kind of sticks out to you as, I like that. I want to try it again.
So your knowledge of craft beer is obviously going to be way more intense than mine.
And that's not saying a lot because my craft beer knowledge is not great, but
I am a Coors Light guy. I'm not gonna lie. I am.
I'm a Miller Lite guy.
If I want to get fancy, I'll pick up original Coors, which is my all-time favorite.
You mean the banquet beer?
Other than that, I think I've tried to venture with the traditional big names, but the cool thing that I can chime in is Houston's craft beer game is pretty dang legit.
It's pretty legit. Yep.
Yeah, and if anything, in the last year, St. Arnold's, Buffalo Bayou, Carbach, which I think you told me was bought out by somebody big, right?
I don't know.
I think so. I think Anheuser may have bought them.
I don't know. They'd be dumb not to. Carbach's an amazing product.
Still, Crawford Bach is like my favorite. I've been on that binge for like a year.
Rodeo Clown, but do not look at the calories.
Oh, yeah. I'll have to take a couple nice scenes after that. And I don't think I've even Eighth Wonder Brewery here in Houston. Mm-hmm. Awesome spot. So that's kind of been my introduction to the craft beer. Other than that, Thirsty Goat, that's a good one I've had before. Couldn't tell you who makes it. Who does the Devil's Backbone?
Ooh, I don't know that one.
Anyway, now I'm just with craft beer, you can literally say, Screaming Banshees. There's going to be a craft beer named that, but these are real ones that I've had, and they actually are pretty good. Yeah. So I did like that you started doing that, and I told you I'm a bottle sucker for whiskey. Dude, a good can will grab my attention, and I will grab it off the aisle because of that.
I'll tell you what, man. So I posted one like back on, it was like April 30th. And it was Gigantic Brewing, and they did 3 Imperial Stouts. And so through Tavour, essentially, for those who aren't aware, you can go on there, sign up, put your credit card information in, and it's really pretty seamless. Like you say, you get a push notification, you look at it, they still got some in stock, hit buy. They process your credit card, and they put it in a box for you. At the end of every month, they actually ship that box to a local distributor, and right now, they'll actually distribute it directly to your house where you sign for it. But because of COVID restrictions, you actually don't have to sign for it in many locations, but it's all up to the actual deliverer. But what I'm getting at is this Gigantic. I love Russian Imperial Stouts. So one of my favorite beers of all time, and honestly, maybe my favorite beer, is North Coast Old Rasputin. And I love that beer so much. It's a Russian Imperial Stout.
Old Rasputin?
Old Rasputin. I think
Scottish.
It's I think that's kind of the flair I throw on it too. I don't know why, but it's got Old Rasputin, he's a Russian figure. He was part of like the 1800s, 1900s imperial Russian class elitist. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Look him up.
Nice.
But amazing beer. Go ahead.
I almost grabbed a beer today at HEB just because it had a beaver with a sombrero, and it was named Viva La Beaver.
Ooh, always, dude. It's always got Viva La Beaver.
Yeah. I did have a that pizza slice picture I sent you with the beer. It was a Heffenweisen from Fredericksburg. It was
Heffenweisen.
Heffenweisen from Fredericksburg. We'll go get some peaches.
Yeah, Italian pizza and German beer. Interesting combination.
Sometimes life is as simple as a slice of pizza.
Was that called the Axis Special?
Nerd alert. Moving on. All right.
Anyway, I want to say this real quick. Finish it up. All right. So Gigantic Brewing. They did 3 Imperial Stouts, and this is what I love about it, dude. One was finished in a bourbon barrel, one was finished in a rye barrel, and one was finished as a Scotch barrel. All 3 of them. For I think 6 months or 12 months or something like that. But I've only had one of them, had the bourbon one so far. I love that though. I love the fact that these craft dudes are going with these breweries and saying, or not breweries, but distillers, and saying, give me a barrel. Take these secondhand barrels, finish their beer in them, and those Imperial Stouts go to the next level. You get
I'm glad you brought that up because did you give me the Goose Island bourbon barrel at your house?
Yes, I did.
Delicious, which is like $23 for one bottle.
Mm-hmm.
Appreciate
Not
it.
cheap.
And then the other one I saw today was a St. Arnold's, and I didn't grab it. I'm absolutely going to go back and grab it. It was a St. Arnold's. It was called Old Fashioned, and it was a beer brewed in rye barrels and oranges. I mean,
that sounds good.
Sounds phenomenal.
Basically, it comes back to if you like bourbon and you like stouts and you like, this is one flavor I always get, yams. If you like sweet potatoes, go get yourself an imperial stout or any stout finished in bourbon barrels, because it pulls the sweetness out of the barrel, and so you kind of get this like sweet potato vanilla-y flavor to it. Very, very similar, not very, somewhat similar to like a Belgian wheat.
That, and they will knock you on your ass.
Oh yeah, they're all like 12%, if not more.
Remember, what was that one we had at our buddy's wedding? Remember that one, the pumpkin one in bourbon? Holy hell!
Yeah, do you remember going to that that bar?
I don't remember much.
But I know. Yeah.
Yes,
you were going to that bar. Yeah,
started it. Holy! No wonder I didn't make it. Yeah, so
I made it. That. I don't know if this is about me, but I also didn't start slamming old fashions immediately after the wedding ceremonies.
The old fashions were after the 4 glasses of Jack Daniel's Black, because that was about the coolest bottle that they had, and I just said, "Sure, I'll take that. Sure, I'll take that. Sure, I'll have another."
Hashtag open bars. Thank you.
Hashtag best bartender ever. That guy was awesome.
He was like from Russia or some shit, wasn't he?
I think his name was Roskovia. All right.
Anyway,
so let's
get back off of memory lane.
Let's nerd out. Tell us about Mr. E.H. Taylor here on this beautiful bottle and this beautiful package.
So let's talk about the bottle first. I think it's a great start. So Colonel E.H. Taylor, right? You're going to find this typically going to be an allocated product. You're going to notice it by the tan canister. It's completely recognizable. You're not going to mistake it for anything else out there. And the subtle difference between one canister to the next is going to be the color of the writing on it and the name. But they have 12 offerings currently. You can usually find, when you find E.H. Taylor, you're going to find probably 3 of them, right? 3 is going to be the max you're going to find. You're going to find the small batch. You're going to find the single barrel. You might find the rye. But beyond that, it gets super special, super allocated. You're talking about there's warehouse sea bourbon, right? And there's warehouse tornado surviving bourbon. These are things you're typically never going to see. I've never had them. Kurt's never had them. Kurt has had the barrel proof there, though. That's a hard one to find. It's green. Then that's one of the ones that I would say are the
most. If you go to your local whiskey cake.
You go to your little whiskey cake, your local 1919, your little local whiskey bar. They're going to have these things kind of maybe at a premium price, but you're not going to pay Eagle Rare 20 prices. Like, these are not going to be $300 pours. They're maybe going to be $20, $40 pours. But I would say barrel proof is one of those you probably have to have. If you're a whiskey fanatic, you need to try it. Don't buy the bottle. Don't pay secondary prices. Go to your whiskey place and find it. 4 grain. 4 grain's another interesting one, right? So I've never had true 4 grain, but you can actually do what they call poor man's 4 grain, which is a combination of, if I remember correctly, Weller, Eagle Rare, and Old Granddad 114. It's a specific combination. You look it up online. It's supposed to be very close to the actual taste. The nose and palate of the real 4 grain. Never had the real one, but it's a fun one to talk about. And then the one that I always look at and I say, you know what, if I see it, I'm going to try it. I can't not try it other than the barrel proof. The 18-year marriage. It's a marriage of 3 different mash bills that are all 18 years old. And it's supposed to be really, really good. Like the cream of the crop, like the best possible export or solution of E.H. Taylor you can find. Once again, these are subjective assessments from blogs and stuff like that. But it's supposed to be the tits, the bee's knees, whatever you want to say. That is really what E.H. Taylor is. It's finding those weird one-off bottles, but really the bottle itself and the canister, like it's like you see it and you're like, oh, I found one, you know?
That's good stuff. No, it is. I mean, I just keep going back to the barrel proof. It was so good. It is up there for me.
You know, you made me think of something, what I tried recently. I got a chance, went to Whiskey Cake, finally went out to dinner.
Was that it? Was that breaking your COVID virginity?
It was breaking my COVID virginity at a sit-down restaurant outside. Yes.
Ease it in slowly. Got it.
No. It was inside. That's what I mean. Like coming inside to a restaurant,
moving
and sitting there. Unintentional for the listeners. I got to try Weller Foolproof.
The blue label.
Mm-hmm.
And
it tastes like Weller, but stronger.
Oh,
basically, if you dial Weller up to 11, that's what it is.
Oh, hey, what's your name? Have you ever seen that video?
No, but
I
thought you were going to tell me the whole thing. It was good.
Well, that's good. That's awesome, man. I'm glad
we'll not pay secondary prices for it. We'll not pay.
Of course, you wouldn't.
$200 for it.
But you also found some old information on Mr. E.H. Taylor himself.
Let's talk about it.
Interesting dude. Please make this worth it, because your last speech on Mr. Camelot and stuff was like debunked in 2 minutes by a guy at Specs.
Because you ran into the whiskey savant. That's not my fault.
Yeah, he literally. Yeah, it was.
No, it is the same guy. That guy owns it. What are you talking about? It was debunked. He owns the subsidiary. We proved it on the air.
Yeah.
Now, they may get their whiskey from Heaven Hill rather than what we stated, but he still owns not the distillery, but the mixing place. The company.
He also said that Bird Dog, which I don't know if we've ever mentioned Bird Dog on the show.
No, because we only talked about good whiskey.
The only experience I have with Bird Dog was when I was at Texas Tech. Somebody said,
no more.
Hey, this is cherry flavored whiskey. Try this. And to say it was sweet, a little bit of an understatement right there. Apparently, there's high class Bird Dog. I've never bought it. I'm not gonna knock it until I try it. But yeah, that's apparently like Bird Dog is Heaven Hill's like. And this is the Specs guy. This is not me. Somebody can easily say, no, it's not. I don't know. Just continue.
I'm pretty sure your Specs guy and your GNC guy are brothers. So,
well, neither of them give me warnings, but the Specs guy did. Anyway, that's a whole other story. Just go back to EH.
Okay. All right. So we weren't 100% wrong on the Calumet Farms, or however you want to say it. Speaking of horse racing, Bob Beffert, or Beefert, however you want to say his name, Baffert, was suspended for 2 years for cheating on multiple piss tests. Well, not him, but the horses. But
weren't you like all over his nuts in the last?
Well, yeah, because he won. He was the Bill Belichick of horse racing.
Apparently, they're tiny nuts because he lives the steroid life.
It wasn't his balls; it was the horses. But sure.
Well, if he's gonna, I mean, he's got to be trying them himself. I mean, that's my logic.
Yeah, that logic is sound. But E.H. Taylor, back to the story in hand, he is actually the descendant of two presidents, Zachary Taylor and James Madison.
So Zachary Taylor's not the quarterback for Nebraska?
No, I think he was a linebacker for Miami.
Ah, got it. When I go through my list of presidents in my head, Zachary Taylor
is not one of them.
Often forgotten. Couldn't even tell you what number he is. I'm going to take a guess.
45.
9?
I don't know.
I don't know either. Couldn't tell you if you were telling me the truth.
According to the sources, the like 5 sources I looked and cross-referenced, that is correct. Fun thing, he's Colonel E.H. Taylor, but he's not actually a real colonel. So Colonel
Sanders a real colonel?
So funny you say that. Colonel Edmund Haynes Taylor Jr. was actually bequeathed the title of a Kentucky bequeathed the title of the honor of a Kentucky colonel by the Kentucky governor. So Kentucky Fried Chicken, Colonel Sanders.
How does that?
He wasn't a real colonel. He was a Kentucky colonel.
Wait, neither of them were real colonels?
That's my understanding.
All right. Well, I'm just giving away colonelship out there in Kentucky.
Colonelship. That's how you say it when you have a mouthful of tobacco. All right. He did own 7 distilleries throughout his career. The most famous, obviously, OFC distillery, which is the forerunner of Buffalo Trace, which we've talked about in the past, was uncovered a few years back at Buffalo Trace when they were starting to break ground on a new distillery. They actually uncovered the original copper pot distilleries, right? And they're actually they clean those out, and not the copper pot, I'm sorry, but the copper baths, if you will. They're actually clean those out, restored them. They're actually going to
where they do the yeast and fermentation.
Exactly. They're going to reline it with copper, one of them with copper, and actually put it back into production. So thought that's pretty cool.
Buffalo Trace just getting more badass at being badass.
Dude, it's like, you think about it like in the bourbon game, right? Buffalo Trace is already like Rome and of bourbon. And then it's like, they just like, oh, we're going to go build a new building. And they just uncovered Atlantis.
Because we literally found Rome. Yeah.
Well, but yeah, they just uncovered Atlantis underneath like some dirt over here. So anyway, but he's also looked at as one of the fathers of the Bottled and Bond Act, or the grandfathers are hard lobbyists for it, which makes a lot of sense because you look at the bottle itself, and almost all of their products are what, Kurt?
Bottled and Bond.
Bottled and motherfucking Bond. So
well. I'm just trying to read the back of the label and see if there's anything else to get off of this. Distilling began at the close of the Civil War.
You can get off on that label all you want. I don't know if we're going to get any more information.
Yeah, good stuff. Sweet label, sweet bottle.
As we get later in the episode and Kurt starts slamming things onto the desk.
Sorry, I've moved on to, as you can tell, I finished my sample of E.H. Taylor.
Well, then let's talk about it, dude. Let's rate it.
All right, let's talk about it. Let's do it.
You go first, bad boy.
All right. Groovy.
Big boy for life over here.
I'm sniffing
the wrong shit.
The wrong whiskey. Sweet. All right, so going off of memory, what I told myself I was going to rate it before, I'm going to stick with solid B for E.H. Taylor small batch. Can't go wrong with that.
See, I'm going to finish. I did A on the nose, B on the palate. I'm going to split the middle and say B+.
Yeah, and I thought about B+, but then I just go back and forth. The nose itself, and I often thought about giving it an A+ on the nose, but boy, I think having that barrel proof just did some things to me, you know.
Well, all I can say is I just like to be positive. So,
all right, let's put it this way: you go to your 5-star restaurant and you have your ribeye. This is picking one up at Texas Roadhouse. Still gonna get the job done. Still delicious. I've literally
this with prime rib. Texas Roadhouse prime rib.
I've gone and had prime rib with you at Texas Roadhouse, and it was delicious. It was delightful.
I love Texas Roadhouse prime rib, and this would go great with it.
What are your thoughts on Logan's?
It closed here in San Antonio, so fuck that place.
It closed in Corpus, too.
Because it sucks. The one time I went there, I've never had a steak undercooked in my life. I am a medium rare to rare guy all day. Every
steak undercooked.
It wasn't cooked.
Still not possible.
I swear.
Unless they literally did not put it on the grill.
They seared it on which side for like maybe 15 seconds.
That's a cook. And there are some people who eat their steak like that.
I ordered it medium rare and it came out like Mickey Blue Eyes in that one movie. Rare, rare, rare.
What?
The movie Mickey Blue Eyes.
With
he's a British actor, not Hugh Jackman. The other
Hugh
one,
Grant.
Hugh Grant, yes, thank you.
That's why, because I don't watch Hugh Grant movies. That's why.
Well, I'm sorry, I have culture and taste.
Mickey Blue Eyes. Out of all the steak movies, you could have said like I don't know, like with John Wayne or.
Well, no, it's because that same situation happened to him.
Mm-hmm. All right, moving on. Well, the reason I brought up Logan's because they had the whole like throw the peanut shells on the floor.
Texas Roadhouse used to do that.
No, Texas Roadhouse Like, that's what I'm saying. Logan's was like the little imitator, I guess.
Yeah.
Is Texas Roadhouse a Texas Roadhouse like in Michigan?
Yes.
Do they have them in Michigan?
I don't know if they have in Michigan, but I've seen that. I've been to Texas Roadhouse in Arizona.
Do you know why I go to Michigan?
Why would you ever go to Michigan?
Well, like why I use that as a reference point?
No.
I feel like that's like as far as you can like get away.
Not Maine or Alaska.
Now you're just talking about angles.
Talking about actual miles, but sure.
Yeah. Whatever. All right. Is that it? Is that all we got?
That's it, man. I think we rambled enough.
It's probably a good time to close the show off right now.
Yeah, I think you and your headband need to close this out.
Whatever, you and your stupid haircut. All right.
What did we talk about tonight, man?
We had a good time. We got back behind the mic. We talked a little bit about the NBA playoffs. We talked a little bit about Team Tebow. We talked a lot about whiskey, some about craft beer, and we got to hear a little history lesson on this E.H. Taylor right here that me and Dick both said was not a bad bottle. Definitely grab it if you can, if it's under the $70 range. That's our recommendation. Dick, close them out with the socials, please.
All right. So, Drammers, once again, want to thank you for listening. We really couldn't do this without you, even for the two of you who do listen to us. Once again, want to remind you to, follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, if that's your, taste of poison that you prefer. Just email us, man. 4tramofgold@gmail.com. We're constantly monitoring that. Send us an email, man. We'd love to have you on the show. Get your feedback, even just talk shit with us, drink a few beers, or, I almost said smoke some whiskey, drink some whiskey. We would love to have you here with us. And then, of course, tell your friends about us, whether you enjoy the show or don't. A listener's a listener. And always subscribe to us on your favorite podcast, Apple Podcasts, Audible, CastBox, Podcast Addict, Spotify. Listen to us there. And Kurt, without further ado, sir, let's pass it over to you for the quote of the episode.
In honor of him hanging up the whistle after this season and passing it on, I'm going to go with a good one by the great Coach K. If what you did yesterday still looks big today, you haven't done much today. Keep striving, keep going, and every now and then stop and enjoy a good dram. The next snap and the next dram.
Drink on, Drammers.